In the heart of Igbo land, where the Iroko trees touch the skies and the Nkisi River winds like a serpent, there was a kingdom known as Aloma. It was ruled by a kind but ailing king who had a son, Prince Obina. Obina was unlike any other prince in the neighboring kingdoms. He was exceedingly well fed, which earned him the nickname the Fat Prince. His gait was a sight of wealth and prosperity, and his laughter was as deep as the village drums. As the only heir to the throne, Obina's days were filled with lessons on governance, history, and the art of war. Yet, his heart found joy not in the sword clash, but in the music and the dance that throbbed through the kingdom's soul. And it was during the New Yam festival that he first laid his eyes on Nkoli, the dancer, whose grace was said to make even the moon envious. Nkoli was not of noble birth, but her talent was royal. Her feet moved with rhythm of the earth, and her hips swayed like the branches in the wind. She danced not for the fame or riches, but for the sheer love of dance. When she performed, it was said that even the ancestors paused in their celestial realm to watch. Prince Obinna, hidden behind his royal masquerade, watched Nkoli dance at the festival. Her beauty and passion stirred something within him, a yearning to be free of the weight of his title and expectations that came with it. He knew when that his life would never be the same. The festival had ended, but the echoes of the drums still danced in the air. Prince Obinna lay awake in his chamber, the image of Nkoli's dance haunting his dreams. He had never felt such a stirring in his soul before, and he knew he must see her again. The following day, under the gaze of inspecting the royal farms, Obinna ventured into the village. The sun was high, casting a golden glow over the thatched roofs of the mud huts. Children played in the dust, their laughter rising from the dust motes into the air. As he approached the village square, he saw her. Nkoli was teaching a group of young girls the steps of an ancient dance, a dance that the story of Aloma's founding. Her movements were flawed, her voice melodic, and her presence commanding yet gentle. Obinna watched, mesmerized. When their eyes met, it was as if the world fell silent. Nkoli's smile faltered for a moment, sensing the weight of the gaze upon her. She excused herself from her student and approached the prince. "Your Highness," she said, "what a visit! To what do we owe the honor of your visit?" "I came to see the farms," Obinna replied, his voice betraying his true intentions. "But it seems I have found a treasure far greater than any harvest." Nkoli blushed, uncustomized to such attention, especially from royalty. "The true treasure of Aloma lies in its people. Your Highness, we are but reflections of the kingdom's heart." As the moon climbed into the night sky, casting a silver glow over the kingdom of Aloma, Prince Obinna found himself unable to resist the pull of his heart. He donned a simple garb, shedding the trappings of his royal status, and slipped out of the palace. The destination was clear: the humble abode of Nkoli the dancer. Nkoli's home was modest, a reflection of her life's simple pleasure. The walls were adorned with colorful beads and the skies of drums that spoiled of her family lineage. Obinna stood outside, his heart pounding like the jambes in the chest. He knocked softly, and the door cracked open. Nkoli stood there, her eyes wide with surprise. "Prince Obinna," she whispered, "what brings you here at this hour?" "I had to see you," Obinna replied, his voice low. "The day's light did not reveal enough. I wish to know the woman who dances with the spirit of Aloma." Nkoli stepped outside, allowing him to enter. They sat on a woven mat, and Obinna listened intently as Nkoli shared stories of her childhood, her dreams of dancing across the lands, and her love for her people. As she spoke, Obinna saw the depth of her soul and shared his own tales of loneliness amidst opponents, of life mapped out for him, and of his secret love for this art. Word of the prince's nocturnal visit did not stay hidden for long. Whispers spread through the village like wildfire. Fanned by the winds of change, the elders shook their heads, the youth sighed with romance, and the king was troubled. King Ezudo summoned his son to the royal court. Obinna, he began, his voice echoing off the walls. You are the future of Aloma. Your actions must reflect the dignity of the throne. Obinna bowed his head. Father, my heart led me to Nkoli. She is a commoner, the king interjected. And you are destined to unite our kingdom with a royal bloodline. This infatuation cannot be. But father, Obinna protested, the heart does not follow the path of duty so easily. King Ezudo sighed, the weight of the crown heavy upon his brow. Then we must find a way to weave your heart's desire into the tapestry of Aloma's future. In the days that followed, the kingdom of Aloma bustled with rumors and anticipation. The bond between Prince Obinna and Nkoli, the commoner dancer, had stirred the heart of many and unsettled the mind of a few. The king, seeing the unrest, called upon his councils of elders for wisdom. The council, adorned in their red caps and ivory ornaments, spoke of tradition and ancestors' ways. A prince must marry a princess, they said, for the stability of the kingdom and the continuity of our lineage. But the king, who had seen the spark in his son's eyes, felt torn. What of happiness? He asked. What of love? The elders murmured among themselves, their voices a low horn. Love is a luxury, not a foundation for a kingdom, they concluded. Meanwhile, Nkoli faced her own turmoil. The village woman whispered as she passed, and the young men who once sought her hand now watched from a distance. Their admiration tinged with envy. Her family, simply farmers and artisans, worried for her safety and their own. The annual festival of Mask was upon Aloma, a time when the spirits of the ancestors were said to walk among the living. It was a festival of color, music, mystery, where faces were hidden and hearts were revealed. Prince Obinna, adorned in a mask of the majesty ego, moved through the crowd, his eyes searching for one. Nkoli, wearing the gaze of the graceful gazelle, found him among the throne. Their dance began, a silent conversation between the predator and prey, strength and grace, royalty and commoner. As they danced, the village watched in awe, unaware of the true identity behind the mask. The prince and the dancer moved as if one, their performance a defiance of the roles they were born into. But as the dance reached its climax, a gust of wind swept through the square, lifting the mask from their faces. The crowd gasped and the music faltered. The truth was laid bare for all to see. The revelation of the festival of the mask has sent ripples through the kingdom of Aloma. The king, faced with undeniable bond between his son and Nkoli, saw the council of the most seer in the land. Nwanyugo, an old woman with eyes that saw beyond the veil, listened to the kingdom's concerns. Your Majesty, she said, her voice like the rustle of dry leaves. The threads of destiny are woven long before we see their pattern. What does the pattern hold for my son and Nkoli? The king asked, his voice tinged with worry. The spirit speaks of a union that will bring a great change. Nwanyugo replied,
but the path would be fraught with trials. King Ezugo left her hut with a heavy heart, the sword of the seer echoing in his heart. He knew that the future of Alomas hung in a balance. Obinna and Nkoli continued to meet in secret, their love growing stronger with each stolen moment. They would often escape to the grove of whispering palms, where the fronts told tales of lovers past. It was there, under the watchful eyes of the ancestors, that Obinna took Nkoli's hand in his. Nkoli, he said, his voice steady, I wish to build a future with you, one where your dance can flourish and our love can free. Nkoli's eyes shone with tears. Obinna, my heart is yours, but the path ahead is shadowed with uncertainty. We will face it together, Obinna promised, for our love is the light that will guide us through the darkness. The news of Prince spread, igniting a fire in the hearts of people. The youth, inspired by the love story unfolding before them, began to question the old ways. They saw in Obinna and Nkoli a hope for a different Aloma, a kingdom where love was honored above lineage. The elders, however, saw this as a threat to the fabric of society. They convened in secret, plotting to sever the bond between the prince and the dancer before it could unravel the tradition they held dear. News of the prince's affection for Nkoli reached the ears of the council of elders. These vulnerable men, with their wrinkled brows and long memories, gathered in the dimly lighted chamber of the palace. The voice carried the weight of tradition, and their decisions shaped the fate of Aloma. Elder Okafor, the oldest among them, spoke first. His voice was like the cracking of ancient trees. Prince Obinna, he said, our ancestors did not wave the thread of our lineage lightly. The blood of kings flows through your veins, and it must continue. But Elder Okafor, Obinna replied, is love not a force greater than lineage? Should our hearts be born by duty alone? Elder Nwachukwu, the stern-faced keeper of customs, raised his staff. Love, he intoned, is a fleeting breeze. Duty is the rock upon which kingdoms are built. Nkoli, who had been waiting outside the chamber, listening with bated breath. She knew that her love for Obinna defied tradition, but her spirit remained unyielding. Nkoli faced her own trials. The village women, once her confidant, now whispered behind her back. They questioned her audacity to capture the heart of the prince. A dancer they scornful should know her place. Her family too. Her father, a skilled carver of masks, worried about the repercussions. Nkoli, he said, our ancestors danced to honor the gods, not to entwine their fate with royalty. Yet Nkoli danced on. She taught the children the steps of Aloma's history, her feet tracing the stories of warriors and lovers. And the quiet of her room, she wept for a love that seemed impossible. King Ezudo sat on his throne, torn between love for his son and duty to the kingdom. He remembered the tales of forbidden love, of gods and mortals, of rivers and mountains. But this was no man. This was his flesh and blood. He summoned Obinna, my son. He said, your heart is deepest, but Alomas cannot be swanned by tempest. Obinna knelt. Father, he pleaded, Nkoli is my heart's song. Without her, I am but an empty drum. The king sighed. The elders deemed a solution a choice. The elders of Aloma convened in the sacred hall, their faces etched with lines of concern. They sat in a circle, the air thick with the scent of license and the weight of impending decisions. Elder Uzodema, known for his wisdom, spoke first. We cannot ignore the will of the people, he said. The love between Prince Obinna and Nkoli has ignited a flame in their hearts. But we must not let passion consume tradition. Elder Chike, his voice firm. We have customs that have preserved our kingdom for generations. The debates range on, with some elders advocating for change and others for the preservation of the old ways. The conclave ended with no resolution, the future of the king hanging in the balance. Prince Obinna stood before the statues of the great warrior, Eze Echebe, the founder of Aloma. He looked into the stone eyes that seemed to pierce through time and made a silent pledge. I will honor you, great ancestor, he vowed, but I will also forge a new path, one that honors love and the will of the people. With that, he turned and walked back to the palace, his resolve as unyielding as the statues behind him. Nkoli, meanwhile, faced her own inner turmoil. She danced alone in the moonlight, her movement a prayer to the gods. She sought guidance, strength, and the courage to face the trials ahead. As the dawn approached, she made her decision. She would stand by Obinna, come what may. Their love was a dance of destiny, and she would see it through to the final step. In the heart of Aloma, the drums of defiance began to beat. The youth, inspired by the love between the Prince Obinna and Nkoli, gathered in the village square. They painted their faces with symbols of change and wore anklets that jingled with the sound of progress. Nkoli stood before them, her spirit unbroken by the whispers of dissent. She raised her hands, began to dance, her movement a call to action. The dance was not just a performance. It was a statement, a declaration that love would not be shackled by tradition. Prince Obinna watched from the shadows, his heart swelling with pride. He stepped forward, joining Nkoli in the dance, their movement becoming a powerful narrative of unity and hope. The elders watched the dance of this. They had seen the power of the people before, the way it could uproot centuries of tradition and usher in the winds of change. Elder Okoye, the voice of reason among them, spoke up. We must listen to the heartbeat of our kingdom, he said. The youth are not just our future, they are our present. The council agreed to meet with the Prince Obinna and Nkoli to hear their pleas and witness the love that had sparkled with the fever among the people. The meeting was held under the ancient Iroko tree, where the matters of great importance were traditionally discussed. The elders sat in a circle with Prince Obinna and Nkoli at the center. Obinna spoke first, his voice resonating with conviction. Elders of Aloma, we stand before you not as prince and commoner, but as two souls united by love. Our union can be a bridge between the old and the new. Nkoli added, our traditions are the roots that held us firm, but the love is the water that nourishes those roots. Without it, the tree of Aloma will wither. The elders listened, their faces a tapestry of emotions, some touched by the couple's word, others unmoved. The heart of Aloma beat with uncertainty as the kingdom awaited the decision of the elders.